Okay, we're now recording, and let me go to Skype.
This is a much better connection than the phone.
And people to this call.
What happened? I lost you.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host PIN when finished.
To start your show now, press 1.
Your show is scheduled to start in 5 minutes, 15 seconds. 5 minutes until show.
What happened, Clay?
Nothing, I got you. Are you fine? I'm adding stuff.
You see me?
I'm adding stations here, Russell.
Okay, can you see me though?
Yes.
I don't see me anymore.
It says it's still recording, so it's got us up here. And I can see you on Skype here.
Four minutes until showtime.
Crusade's still busy. I can see me up here. We got Blog Talk. And obviously we can hear them with the countdown. Crusade's still not on yet.
3 minutes until showtime.
I'll bring them up at the last point here.
You're not using Truth no more, right?
Nope, fuck them. The guy says his name is Pastor Mossad, and I'm starting to believe he really is a Mossad agent because he just took the station away from my friend Richard Palmquist and fucked it up. Chat room. Sign under feed the Phoenix. Sign up under the Phoenix on Blog Talk.
I'll do that next show. Right now,
2 minutes until showtime.
You there, Clay?
Yeah, Crusade's still busy. Trying to get up on one more station here. Let me check in on Blog Talk, see what's going on. Guest 29 just logged in.
I gotta do something quickly.
Go right ahead.
1 minute until showtime.
Everything's on automatic now.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. There is a very order does not mean
Hello, Crusade! Hello, Crusade Radio. Free Americans coming your way with the Mighty Phoenix.
To defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
Cheers, my brother.
How can I convince you when your ears refuse to hear? You turn your heart away from me each time that I draw near. Your eyes refuse to meet with mine, they glance away in fear.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clayton show?
My message to those guys that are listening this morning is go get a cup of coffee, maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same both. You know, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
So well, it doesn't show. How can I contain this thing? Knowing that you're right, blinded by the lies.
He is the free American, Clayton Douglas. That's the Green American, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Every time I think about it, damn, it's just been done. The anger wells inside me till I'm almost overcome. I want to tear the moon out of the sky.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamericans.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American. I am your host, the Free American. And my guest today is Russell Pappalardo, the Mighty Phoenix. And we've had a hell of a week of shows, Russell. We've had Blair from the auditor at introspect.org. He's been on my show several times with his auditors, many of whom are American Indians, and we've been talking over the last few months about how us white folks can work with the Native Americans, because frankly I believe the Native Americans' civilization was better than what we brought over here to America. especially in South America, where we killed and stole all of the gold and everything of value from the American indigenous people. I want to go back to them. I want to support them, and we've talked about ways we can work together. How are you, sir? What do you got in mind today?
Oh, I have a multitude of topics to speak of.
And I might add that we will be recording this for the Free American, probably for Facebook, probably for YouTube. Of course, we've been canceled. You know, they set it up so that I couldn't even put my own show on YouTube, because I do get paid for YouTube. But suddenly, it didn't work. It didn't work. And I just got an email and somebody offering me the opportunity to buy my own domain name. The scammers are at work out there. The Jews have been working the internet and working my show and my chat room with full enthusiasm. Not much intelligence, but a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of consistency. And what we've been talking about, what we've got them upset about, is William Blair here actually came out and said that the Jewish people have been betrayed by Zionism. Behind all the labels and all the organizations and all the religions, meet the people who rule your daily lives and have done so since they helped to write our Constitution. Did Americans win the Revolutionary War? Who controls our money? The church? Non-profit organizations have collapsed to embrace economic development. The bar courts, British accredited registry, their courts, their administrators, their judges, their lawyers, their attorneys, legal counsels have implemented innovative international trust law almost. And this is what we're fighting, Russell. The lawyers, you know, after they launched a war to destroy and hide the true 13th Amendment, bars lawyers from handling, from even stepping into a courtroom. They're not practice law. The Bar Association lawyers are nothing but foreign agents working for the British Crown or the Vatican. Go ahead, Russell. You got more for me.
Well, that's true indeed. They control everything. The 13th Amendment barred barristers from participating in politics. And yet, just about every politician has a law degree, which is unconstitutional. But this so-called land of the free, which is in truth of the knave and the home slave. It's a nation ruled by pigs, controlled by wolves in fine haberdashery, ticks and parasites who call themselves politicians. And as I've said many times, we've been had, taken, hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray, run amok, mesmerized, and mind-fucked. This is not a free country. And today, I am ready to cut down with this very sharp survivor knife. It's as sharp as my silver tongue, and chop down with this high-speed throwing axe every myth that the American sheeple has been impregnated with to erroneously believe. And when I use the word American sheeple, who I'm really alluding to is the dumbed-down, brainwashed, and mind-controlled Judeo-Christians, a satanic form of Christianity that Jesus never taught.
Now don't speak evil of Yahweh. Yahweh. Oh, Yahweh. We're praying to the wrong God, you fools. Tell them, Russell.
There's no question Yahweh or Jehovah, Jehovah, or Yahweh that I like to call him, according to Helena Blavatsky in her book, ISIS Unveiled and the Secret Doctrine. as well as Paul Tice in his book, Jumping Jehovah, prove beyond a doubt that Jehovah is the moon god Sin, or Shaitan, or Satan, as he is called, or she is called. Whether Satan is male or female, I know not. But you folks have been fooled. And you pray, as Clay just said, instead of to the right God, to the wrong God. And that's why your prayers are not answered.
What God would tell his followers, his worshipers, kill your son to prove your obedience to me. Kill your son. That wasn't the God of Jesus. And Jesus told you, by the way, you can do what I do and more. And that's
that God that they pray to is truthfully Brahma, or Brahmin, as Abraham was a Brahmin priest. He was called Abram, and his name was changed to Abraham. Another Jewish-owned pig, just like the Judeo-Christian televangelist, who you folks out there, you sheeple that is, donate your hard-earned dollars that they don't have to report because they're tax exempt, and promote the agenda of a rogue racist nation of Turco-Finnish, Mongoloid, Ashkenazi Huns who call themselves Jews and make believe that they are God's chosen people. Well, I say emphatically that they are not. And anyone who believes such nonsense should be put in a mental hospital, such as Creedmoor, Bellevue, or South Oaks in New York, and get a lobotomy, because the brain you have serves you not well. It's leading you straight to hell. You're so fearful of going to a hell, a fiery pit forever that doesn't exist. And you have no cognizance or knowledge that you're already in hell.
Of hell, you shouldn't care. You can't go because you are there. You stay, as I said before, you stay as men, not more. There is in other dimensions. There are things you can rise to. And you will be judged by your own karma. Not a satanic God. And speaking of satanic gods, that a lot of times they tell you the truth in the movies. They warned you about 9/11 in The Simpsons. They've warned you about 9/11, told you it was coming in the X-Files. And now they've got one of my favorite authors, and I've told you folks that I read every book in the Fort Worth Public Library before I was 14 years old. One of the ones that I read was something called Childhood's End. Would you like to tell us about that, Russell?
It's an excellent movie, and it was an excellent book that I read many years ago. It's about an alien race, an interdimensional race of extraterrestrials that come down to Earth in the guise of the common good, just like the Jews and your politicians pass laws in the guise of the common good. And then gradually, they don't show themselves, they don't show their faces until about 15 years after their arrival, because they know the people would not be, the sheeple, I should say, not ready for it. And then they show their faces, and if you want to see a photo or an actor portray the devil, there's none better than on Childhood's End. And then what they do is gradually they change your children, the new children, into reptilians, into warlike people. Just like Jehovah or Yahweh, he couldn't condition the first lot that got out of ancient Egypt. So he made them stay in a desert for 40 years, and he conditioned their children, who were already brainwashed since birth, as your children are, into believing he was God and to go to war, as your children do now. When you send them off, every time you hear a politician, an armchair warrior, tell you that we have to go fight for freedom. But in truth, Your children, your sons and daughters, and your granddaughters and grandsons are dying for the Jews and for profits that are made by international banksters who are all Jewish, who fund both sides in any conflict and earn money off the interest, as well as the armaments, because they own the armament companies, as well as Big Pharma. And they get you to fight a very wise race of people called Semitic, who are really Semitic, the Arabs. And speaking about that, one of the greatest hoodwinking of all time is going on right now, and I believe this, unless I too am are misled, but I doubt it, is that Donald talking all nice talk about how Israel funds ISIS, which is true, and how we have to stop the Arabs and we can't let them in the country. But this is all Bubba because all he's doing is working for Israel. He's a staunch Zionist supporter. His daughter is married to a major Zionist Jew. And what he's really doing is when he does get nominated, if he does as a Republican, because he definitely leads the race, regardless of what you may hear on the television set, people will not vote for him. They'll go to Hillary because Hillary will make more sense. And Hillary, or Twisted Sister, that fat, ugly whore, that murderess, that devil woman, will be the next Zionist puppet to sit in the Oval Chair. I don't know how she'll fit her fat ass in it, but they'll find a way. Maybe they'll add a few inches and remodel it, through some government retrofit program. You politically correct sheeple, you politically correct POSs. In case you don't know what POS means, it means pieces of shit who believe all this nonsense really do need a lobotomy. Donald Trump is not the man, and if I am wrong, if he is turning against the Jews as J.F. Kennedy did, as he planned to with his father Joseph, Trump will be killed within a year of office. Because you cannot be a puppet, as you call president, without supporting Israel and its war agenda, which is the agenda of the ancient Hebrew or Hebrew, their god, the storm god of the High Coast Kings, the Hebrew, or the Hebrew as you call them, to go to constant war, for perennial war, for perpetual peace. Read the book Iron Mountain. Wake up. Now, it's interesting on Childhood's End, to get back to that for a moment, the children, when they see this devil god, they see an all-seeing eye, which if you go to your dollar bill, which I've said many times, and put it under a magnifying glass, you will see is clearly reptilian. Yes, folks, the God of America is the devil. In fact, America was never named after America Vespucci. It was named after Amaru, which is the Mayan name for the god Shaitan or Satan. You people really are a shameful lot. You really are pathetic. How you look in the mirror, I have no idea. But Donald Trump will not be the next president. And if he is, he will be assassinated within 1 year by the Jews.
They threatened that. They've already threatened that. And I like to believe if Donald Trump made his money working with the Jews, so did I. I worked with a lot of Jews in the paraphernalia industry. Don Levin owns Adam's Apple. The people that took over High Times. I was the first High Times distributor in Texas. So, and Jack Hara, I financed while he wrote the book, Emperor Wears No Clothes. The Jews, yeah, they are everything that you've said they are, but they can also be used. They can also have their whole game turned against them. Sheldon Litter was a pretty nice Jew. He had Litter Enterprises. And his office, when he set his office up, he owed me a lot of money. He set his office up so when you sat down at his desk, you sit down in a chair, and the desk towered over you. I mean, the desk was on a raised platform, and the chair was way down there. So you had to look up over his desk to see Sheldon. So when Sheldon owed me money, I would walk into his office and sit down on the edge of the deck and say, "Hey, Sheldon, you want to write me a check?" Drove him crazy.
I have a hard time writing a check. The hand actually shakes. However, the way to deal with the Jew, if you work with them, as I have, as Clay has, and I worked with them for many years, selling piece goods to the 7th Avenue dress trade, better accounts such as Mamselle by Betty Carroll, Christian Dior, Ann Fogarty, and better women's sportswear, Ann Klein. The way to deal with them is to close your mouth, open your ears, and learn their ways. And while you're learning, make sure that your back pocket is buttoned and your wallet is secure. That's how you deal with the Jew. You learn the conniving ways of the Jew.
I tell you,
You'll be able to sell bathing suits if you have the talent that I have. You'll be able to, the innate talent, you'll be able to sell anything at any given time. You'll be a master.
you know, Russell, it's a real interesting. Once I became aware, when I was in the paraphernalia industry, I'll smoke a joint with you, do a line with you, no problem. But once I became aware, once I started the Free American, they wouldn't have anything to do with me. They wouldn't talk to me anymore. Suddenly they knew I knew who they were, and they wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't help me. They wouldn't buy from me. They did everything they could to help my competition or destroy me.
No, Clay, they don't like you and they don't like me. In fact, they don't like each other. I'll tell you a story. There was a fellow by the name of Katz, Marty Katz, who owned with a good friend of mine, Richie Kugel. Richie was a good guy, Jewish. Plenty of money. They owned Plainview Tire. They did, forget the business. I mean, tremendous in Plainview on Old Country Road. And I said to Marty in 1998, when I bought my first condo in Fort Lauderdale on the beach, I said, why don't you move down to Fort Lauderdale or at least Boca? He says, are you kidding me, Russ? He says, there's too many Jews down there. I'd go nuts. They don't like each other because they know what they're about. They have that look about them. They have what I call the Rothschild or the Talmudic look. It's always glum, the face serious, and highly condescending, haughty. They are, in truth, the children, the sons and daughters of Ashkenaz, who was the son, of Gomar, who was the daughter of Japheth, who was of the satanic lineage, or the children of Cain. They were called the peoples of the sea in ancient times. They helped the Habaru with magic. They helped Solomon, or as I say, Saruman or Suleiman, build the temple. And they were eventually defeated at the Battle of Megiddo around the 14th century, 13th to 15th century BC. They traveled over the Caucasus Mountains and settled in an area called Khazaria. They became the Burghers, the Magars, the sons and daughters of Attila the Hun. And in the 6th or 7th century, they converted to Talmudism. You could read all that in Arnold Koestler's, the great Jewish historian's work, The 13th Tribe. Their religion wasn't called Judaism until the 17th century. And it was changed to Judaism because, and then the Bibles were altered by their scholars, their rabbis, who are not religious teachers, they are technically lawyers, and they call themselves the Jews. And why did they do that? Because they lived on Judenstraat. The powerful ones lived, the Schiffs and the Rothschilds, lived on Judenstraat Street in Germany. Hence the word Jews, from Judenstraat Street. And that's who the Jews are, folks. You got to wake up. But I don't think most of you can, you sheeple that is. You got fluoride in the water, you got chemtrails in the air. You got genetically modified foods that are outlawed in so many countries in Europe, including Russia. But they're here and they are advertised daily on the television set, which was created by Edward Bernays in order to program you. That's why they call it a program. Edward Bernays is the grandson of Sigmund Freud and considered by the global elite, that is the Jews and their whores, the wealthy Christian Zionists, those who suck their dicks, excuse my language. It was created to program you. You are the program. It's like the old show, Chaos versus Control, Get Smart. What it really meant, what they really were saying is, get smart, stupid. Because you sheeple are a really stupid lot. And to be frank with you, I kind of like insulting you. Because you deserve to be insulted. I really do. I get a kick out of it. In fact, you know what? I'm so hot about it that I got a fever of 103.
I was in a biker bar in Tucson, and I just made some comment about the Jews, and one of the bikers looked at me, well, you can't talk about the Jews. Yeah? Why the fuck not? What is wrong with you people? And then a couple of them got into power, and their standard way of handling things was, well, Clay selling that book, Mystery Babylon, to raise money for a snitch named Huevos. No.
Hey, Clay, let me ask you a question. Let me interrupt if I may.
Go right ahead.
Can you see me right now?
Yes, sir.
Very good. I see you, but I don't see me. And I hate when I can't see myself. Because as I always say, the greatest love of all is the love of oneself when you get to learn how to deal with your flaws.
You may need to go to your Skype section on the video and twiddle with that a little bit. Because I can see you fine, I can hear you fine. The recording is up. I don't know where it's going to.
As long as all listeners can see me, and as long as that piece of shit Shumley from wherever he is in southeast Florida, the man who stays hidden, or I should say the girl, I really don't know what he is. Hey Shumley, if you're there, this is for you. Can you see it? In fact, here's another one for you. And your entire family and all those who you associate with that have the slightest iota of respect for a piece of shit like you. Clay, how's the chat room today?
Well, it's pretty good. We got Coca-Cola, that's Phil, the farmer from Canada, and we've got the child of God or cranky old man in here. COG is in the thing. Mississippi Freeman is out there. And we've got Asshole on the cell phone here. Asshole's on the cell phone. He ain't got enough guts to call in on the thing where we could put him up. He's a low-life chicken shit. I just put him on Asshole. His real thing is Scumly, and he's on this. He's on my cell phone here because he ain't got the balls to do anything else.
Well, give out that number, Clay. Let him get harassed by our dedicated and loyal followers.
That number is, if you want to call Asshole, his number is 321-987. 321-987. 2251. I won't put him on the radio because he's a foul-mouthed piece of shit. He won't respond. He won't give you time to respond. He don't know how to have a conversation. He's a basic chicken shit.
See, Clay, Shamley, Scumley, or whatever his name is, hasn't learned the great secret of how to use profanity as I do. You have to mix profanity with bombastic, sesquipedalian, ostentatious words. And then you create the balance, and that's how you create shock and awe.
And
And
Phil says, good morning, Russell.
Good morning, sir. How are you? I'm going to be on a roll today. I'm kind of relaxed. I like this idea that we invested the money, thanks to you folks' donations, and we got bigger plans if you donate more.
We're going to put we're going to put the victory. We're going to rebuild the whole plan for our villages.
I want to say something to Shumley again, or Scumley, or whatever his name is.
Well, Scumley, you want to call in, Scumley? I'll tell you what. I'll let you say something personally.
You piece of
If
shit
you
ain't
had
Scumley.
to call and her up, I mean, it's real easy. I got people doing that. I'll put you up for just a few moments. And the first time you say anything derogatory about me or Russell, I'll kick your ass right back out again.
Now, let me say one thing. Shumley, before you get on, I know you're very jealous about my attire, because I always dress in fine haberdashery. But thanks to the Jews, your people, and the conniving ways I learned from them, which augmented my great talent of how to express myself, I have about 20 ties. This one, and I have another one like it, were made in Italy. They're custom made. They cost $135 a piece. Where do you get your ties, you piece of shit? In Walmart?
They're harassing him in the chat room. Here's your chance to be in the spotlight, Scumley. Use it wisely. Normally I don't want to subject my listeners to this piece of shit's diatribes, but in this case, I would make an allowance for him, and it's pretty interesting. Let's just see. I never do this, but I may do it this time, folks, just to show you what a cultural wasteland this character is. He's got nothing intelligent to say, no intelligent points to make. He wants to talk over everybody, which is the main reason I won't let him own. What is this?
All he'll do is call me a Jew, a clandestine Jew again. Nonsense, unadulterated nonsense. The Shumley thing is truly, he should have been in the movie Them, an old movie.
I saw that. That was a hell of a movie. All right, we're giving
What's that?
That's me calling the scumbag here. He won't answer the phone here. Obviously a chicken shit. He just dropped off. He's been on here for a week going, well, call me. Well, call me. Well, call me. Well, we just did, you asshole. And what did you do? You hung up. Just shows what a coward this character is. Here's your chance. Here's both me and Russell. Your two favorite people that you like to demonize. Yeah, Phil says he's probably in line for Star Wars tickets.
Or he's out getting a job trying to apply for next season on AMC's Fucking Dead as a walker.
Come on, coward, answer the damn phone. Let me out. Here, call me.
You have reached the voicemail box of 32198 72251.
All right. Hello, you goddamn coward. You goddamn. Oh, put me on. Put me on. Put me on. What a piece of shit you really are. Russell, do you have anything you want to say to Scumly here, scumbag?
Yeah, this.
He won't face us. He won't come on the show with us, although he's begged to be on the show day after day after day. Well, call me. Well, call me. So here's Russell. Here's Clay Douglas.
I would suggest to him to start his own show, invest the money, invest the shekels he steals off the Goyim, the Shabbos Goyim, the dumbed-down Christian Zionists who support Israel, invest the money and get his own blog talk show and say, and use an alliteration, because I'm the master of alliteration. Call the show shumleysucks.com.
I think he ought to do it, use a name that everybody recognizes. Scumly is what we all know him as, because he's such a low piece of shit.
You know what he should call it? Shumley Sucks at enslavedamerica.com.
Hey, Phil, you ought to call in. You can call in. You can. We got him. We got his answering machine. We got his answering machine. You could call in. Tell him what you think. Show him that it's not just America, that actually it's Canadians, it's people from all over the world hate your scumbag ass. And everybody does. Everybody does here.
Everybody hates you, Shemley. Wake up, or whatever your name is. I don't even think it's Shemley.
Well, we could do. You've got his phone number. Just run down to the library and do a cross thing. Oh my, gee, that one dropped once. That one dropped once. But we still got him online. You piece of shit, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. He's probably even afraid to come in the chat room because he'd have to look at you, Russell, and he'd know you're not a fat Jew like he is. Russell works out every day and have a nice looking suit and tie.
I thank you, sir.
Call in on the radio, asshole. I'm not talking to you on my phone. Get off my fucking phone. He must use a cell phone. Too bad.
Let's go on to greater matters. What questions do you have for the wise and mighty Phoenix today, Clay?
I don't have any. I know all the answers.
You son of a bitch. Ask me my sagacious opinion on any topic on in the enslaved lands of America, which are now a kosher sewage plant.
All right, I'm losing this one here. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Phil. He needs to start his own show, then we can all troll it. He also said this is just too funny.
Good, enjoy. Hey, Phil, we're not just here to inform, we're here to entertain. Because I found, and I know Clay agrees with me, the only way to wake up the American people is through sexy soul, rock and roll, and good politically correct humor, like George Carlin on steroids. There's no other way. Otherwise, we cannot captivate and hold their interest.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, you got to be able to keep smiling. And if you let pricks like Scumly depress you, upset you, they win. They win. They can't depress me. They can't make me want to commit suicide. They can't do it. Just won't work.
I agree. I get up and nothing gets me down. I keep on pushing. I keep on keeping on because failure is only failure when it's accepted as such. The wise know very well that quitters never win and winners never quit. That's why we're winners. We know we'll win.
Well, you can't you can't lose if you keep on fighting, if you keep on trying. And you know what, Russell? We have really earned the respect of the Native Americans.
Very great people, and I agree
You
with
call them Indians. I don't, because the Jew Columbus was fucking lost. He thought he was halfway across around the world, and he was a killer too, not appreciative of the culture and the kindness that the Indians showed him.
Right, you know, it's amazing. Pocahontas, his father, said they could have had everything. All they had to do was ask, but they wanted to take because they're greedy. Because who are they really in the main? The Brits. And what does Brit mean? Brit comes from the word, British comes from the word Brit, which means man of the covenant. The covenant that a Brahmin priest, another piece of shit, made with a demon god, an archon. And if you don't know what archon means, as I've said many times, Google it. That's who the British were. What they did to the American indigenous people is atrocious. And the story of Wounded Knee went on just about every month. And Columbus, he knew what he was doing. If you saw the YouTube video in its entirety by Walter White Jr., 1968, about the Jews running the entire slave trade, that's what Columbus did. He worked for the Jews. There are many who say his real name was Christopher Cologne, that he was a Jew. That I can't confirm, but I do know this. He wound up being in prison, and today we glorify that piece of shit. The man who came here, killed the indigenous, the great people who worshiped the Great Spirit, who really had it over modern day America. I mean, hands down. I mean, they were awesome, the so-called American Indian. And yet they were demonized. And any of you out there who are my age watched the
Cowboys.
Yeah, the cowboy and Indian shows of the 1950s that I always watched with my dad, may he rest in peace, always, thought that the Indians were savages. Well, the Indians weren't savages. The savages were the Europeans. They're the true savages. They murdered and destroyed a great culture and put them on reservations, which are nothing more than prisons. It is atrocious. They murdered their little babies. This is insanity. This is evil in the utmost, highest form. Now they go and do the same to Arabs. They do it all over the world. That's what the United States is about. It's about power. Their leaders lurk and lead from the shadows and put up their front men. Those wolves who I alluded to in fine haberdashery. The politicians, which comes from the two Greek words, poly meaning many, and ticks and parasites. That's what your politicians are. No more than ticks and parasites who serve Zionists. They're true whores. They're high-priced whores who get paid high in shekels under the table. The salaries that you think they get, they make at least, at least 100 times more with Jewish gold under the table, as do your televangelists that you donate your money to. And then, of course, your children are jailed as you work 6 to 8 hours a day in the prison system called the American System of Education, which is really a pubic, P-U-B-I-C, system of education. It's a system of brainwashing and indoctrination.
That's right.
And your Redeemer religions were all started by the reptilians, the Anunnaki, the Anunnaki. They're there to program you and make you fear and trust a Lord who you shouldn't trust, because he's not the Lord. He's a liar and a murderer from the beginning, as Jesus said in John 8, verse 44. Folks, I don't know how many of you can wake up But if you can, you must go through the process. You have to baptize yourself with symbolic water and wash out all the dogma, all the lies, all the deceit, all the chicanery, and the erroneous beliefs that you were inculcated with since the early days. And then you have to pray to the Holy Spirit and to the Father and the Christos, the name of Jesus, to give you wisdom and make you connect with your highest self. That is your only chance for salvation. And as Gurdjieff and Morey and Ouspensky, the great philosophers, wrote in their books, not everyone could be saved. In fact, the gate is very narrow, as Jesus said. Too many of you need social approbation. You need the approval of your fellow fools, peers. It's disgraceful. And many of you feel you're older and you know the truth, but you're too weak to fight. Well, as Onemaeus said to Spartacus, I said to the Spartacus's gang in the Spartacus TV series, a man is never too weak or wounded to fight when the cause is greater than him or herself. Folks, this cause is a true cause. This cause is for the freedom of man, to once again take back the free will that was given to you by your universal Father and taken away by a Jew who you believe is going to punish you. Well, as Clay said earlier, the only person that punishes you is yourself. I suggest you watch the cosmic and spiritual laws of the universe you could get from YouTube, and you'll find out the universe is a harmonious place. And if you want to sustain that harmony, you have to live in harmony. You have to do unto others the way you want them to do unto you. And if you are doing this and someone tries to infringe their free will and stop you, you have the right to stop them by any means necessary, overtly or covertly. That includes the government, the Redeemer religions, and the teachers, and the so-called journalists. You have that right to stop them, but I suggest you don't carry it too far. You stop them, send them on their way like a scaredy cat, a frightened kitten, or a jackrabbit. Because revenge, my friends, is a double-edged sword, and it should be served cold.
Oh, okay, wait a minute here. Sorry about that, Phil. So, Phil, what's your... You didn't press 1, Phil. Press 1 right now. But I think this should be... There we go. Now you're getting it. You Canadians are a little slower than I like, but welcome, Phil.
Hello, Clay. I'm a little bit embarrassed. I've been listening.
Did you call to join the farmers? Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead. Say hi, Russell.
I'm actually a little bit embarrassed. I've been listening to you guys all these years, and first time I've called in, so I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest with you.
Well, don't be. You're
Relax,
welcome here.
relax.
You're welcome here, and we know it's you because there's no space here.
Well, we got a little bit of a 20-second delay or so here, so we kind of get on top of each other a little bit, but that's okay.
Well, that coward Scumley wrote in under another name here. Liberty, justice, blah, blah, blah. Pappalardo2, you're blithering on about nothing as usual. You and Clay can't deal with reality, so you decide to blame everyone else besides yourselves. Tools is what he says. And this is what it says, hit and run, and then he's gone here, chicken shit. Go ahead.
Well, there's a funny thing going on in these chat rooms, that's not only Scumley that's doing that. There's other trolls out there that are impersonating him. I don't know why you'd want to, but there's a lot of that going on in there too.
Yes, there is. And they're using their own names. They come in under Clay Douglas just so they can say something obscene to try to make me look bad, you know?
Yeah. Well, Mississippi Freeman, that's our old friend Rabbi Ted. He's awfully quiet today.
Yeah, he has been been quiet today. He actually, as the rabbi, I will boot him for just using the term rabbi. But actually, he's not the worst of the trolls. He's not the worst of the trolls. He's probably one of my most faithful listeners, so he must be getting paid for it.
Well, Russell said something good there a little while back. He said the rabbis are more like lawyers than teachers. Well, that's so true because they push their law. The Moses' law, which they try to live under, which nobody could ever, and that's what they do. They enforce it as a lawyer would. So they really are theological lawyers.
Thank you, sir. Bill, I don't know if you saw this, but I have it on my Facebook page. The student body at Yale University, the intellected, brainwashed youth just made a vote to eliminate, to start a movement to eliminate the First Amendment, which has been going on for years. What's ironic about it is what is at Yale University, and also because once this starts at a major university such as Yale, the other lesser university follow suit. So there'll be a big fight on this free speech issue very shortly.
Oh, yes. Well, those big universities, like you mentioned, Yale and Harvard, those are nothing but CIA spook colleges. They always have been.
Absolutely. Very well put. Hey, Phil, let me ask you, where in Canada are you?
I'm in Alberta.
Oh, my favorite. I did a 30-day vacation in 1995. I started out in Calgary, went to Alberta, started out at at a big hotel there. What the hell's the name of it? Real fancy. Chateau Lake Louise. Then I went to. It was beautiful. It was magnificent. Then from there, I spent 5 days there. Then went to Emerald Lakes Lodge. Then I went up to Jasper Park Lodge, which was really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then wound up in Banff at that hotel that's like a castle. I had an awesome time. Spent a fortune.
Yeah.
Wow, I had a dandy time up there.
Well, you know the movie Unforgiven?
Yeah.
You know the movie Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood?
Oh, yeah.
Some of that stuff was filmed. Some of that was filmed in southern Alberta.
Well, I'll never forget hiking the Hoodoos in British Columbia. When I got to the top, my ex-wife, we sat on these capstones, and I'm looking down. And I'll tell you, I'm not too good with heights. And she was laughing. She had it all filmed. I have a video on it. I was proud of that film. But it's really, I want to tell you something. If anyone who did a lot of vacations such as me, I suggest they do the Alberta, British Columbia vacation, the Canadian Rocky vacation last, because everything else is truly anticlimactic. It's that's how awesome it is. It blows away the Colorado Rockies, blows away the Southwest Red Rock, blows away the Sierra Nevadas and the Sierra Madres. It's that gorgeous. It really is.
Well, there's a little bit for everybody here. You know, if you like the mountains, we've got mountains. If you like the prairies, there's that. If you're a fisher, a hunter, or there's the big cities too. You know, there's a little bit for everybody here.
Oh yeah. Very expensive too. I mean, if you want to spend money on a vacation, I spent at least $50,000 on that vacation. It was that I had money then. Them days are gone, you know. But I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of great memories of that vacation.
Well, you know, we have a funny situation in this province right now. We just they just elected a new socialist government in, which is the first one for 40 years, and they are screwing up so bad. You know, it's been only 6 months, and there's already this new leader is already getting death threats, and they're trying to pass all these new labor laws on farmers that are it's gonna kill us.
No,
It's unbelievable.
That's what they'd have to do. They serve their masters well.
Yeah.
Scumley
Hey,
is
no, it's
back
funny,
in the chat room under Clay Douglas.
Now, I think Phil is right.
Oh.
What Phil said, there's a lot of Shumleys out there.
Well, this is particularly, he's targeted you, Phil, because he's talking about Canadians. So.
Oh. Well, I'm flattered, actually. We should consider it imitation the sincerest form of flattery. But you know what? Leonardo DiCaprio, the movie star, he was up here in the last few weeks. And he happened to be in Calgary. And Russell, you've been there. You know that we have Chinooks, which is a warm air mass that comes off the mountains, and all of a sudden all the snow will melt. Well, he was here while there was a Chinook. And he went back home and told all the Zionist newspapers that, holy shit, you know, that global warming thing is real. I was in Calgary and all the snow just disappeared.
He's a great actor, that kid. Really great. He's from Huntington, Long Island. I used to live about 15 miles from Huntington. Well, not even 6 miles when I lived in Plainview for years. But he is something else.
Yeah.
His new movie is supposed to be, it's coming out, supposed to be really awesome. I forget the name of it. My son was telling me about it. I have to see it. Have you seen Childhood?
But you know, it's, oh yes. It's funny, you know, have you noticed that they've dropped the word global warming now, and it's called climate change?
Yeah.
And I think that's because they've used it to cover their ass one way or the other, because the data can show that the Earth's temperature has actually flattened out since the 40s. And if there is any temperature increase, they can't prove it has anything to do with humans, that this is a natural process because of the sun. And so we all know
that's
in
the reason
Alberta
they
here
killed a
that this
buffalo. I thought that was the reason they killed a buffalo was to prevent global warming from buffalo farts.
Well, the only hot air is coming out of Washington and Ottawa right now. So
Yeah, I believe that. That's for sure. That's all you'll ever get from American pop. Like I always said, you know, you could call it hot air, which is a very good analogy, but I like to allude it to whenever a politician speaks, the only thing that comes from his mouth is a kosher bowel movement.
yes, that's for sure.
After the rabbi was constipated for a month.
Yeah.
I want to change directions here for just a moment here, guys, and please stay around, Phil, and get me your input here from the Canadian point of view. I believe it came to me from Ronnie Blair, who's been on my show. That's the wife of William, but I kind of believe this was William that sent this to me. He says, dear friends, Turkey has always been on the border of both sides of the East-West divide and has had a brutal history of its own and suffered its own brand of existential identity. They hate the Kurds who are fighting along with who are fighting against ISIS along with other non-Shiite groups to stop the flood of the NATO-controlled occupation of their region. Paul Craig Roberts tells the truth, though I fear an escalation to a broader area and more powerful weapons. NATO allied countries seem intent on destroying Europe and the USA, returning to a very low level of feudal fiefdoms under the rulership of various corporate states and literally collapsing civilization. The book, The New Dark Age Conspiracy, Britain's Plan to Destroy Civilization, covers the motivations and intentions in the words of the conspirators themselves, which I believe is online for free somewhere. I've read it along with Dope Incorporated and other books featured on the LaRouchePub.com website. is not my only source of information. I'm a geographer. I encourage all to look at the video linked in the below article, Russian Jet Shootdown, What They're Not Telling You, with Paul Joseph Watson from Prison Planet. It's important to spread the truth about who is our real enemy. The barbarians inside the gates in the face of Obama, the British level intelligence agents parading around as the good guys and training ISIS and the foolish military corporate interests that have nothing to do with America but do act as the strong arm for the British financial monetary empire. As Rothschild said, I care not who writes the laws as long as he controlled their money. It's time we woke up to the long history of propaganda opposing Alexander Hamilton as well, whose work actually created the American system of political economy, and who was killed in a duel by Aaron Burr, Jefferson's vice president, in return for the favors in secret service to the empire. That's disturbing to me because I thought Aaron Burr was a hero. But the writer here says it's common too that the liars and propagandists blame project, that is, blame their victims for what they do to the empire. It's common that the liars and propagandists blame project, blame their victims for what they themselves do. So please and do your part to inform your friends and family that it's not a good idea to support the troops as long as they're mere cannon fodder for the British Zionist occupied U.S. and NATO nations and the banksters whose identity and complicity in mass murder must now be ended, along with the British monarchy, who are at the core of these ghoulish policies that they have taken for granted for so long. And the article here is that Turkey has destroyed Russia's hope of Western cooperation. It's a strange situation. I am aware of what's going on here. I'm aware that the whole Cold War was nothing but another false flag operation. The Russian people have never been our enemies, and Putin is more of a world leader and more of a Christian than Obama ever could hope to be.
Clay?
That's right.
Go ahead.
Clay, speaking about lies and dogma and chicanery, I want to play, and it'll come out very good on Skype, a lip sync that I did in which I destroyed 4 myths, 4 lies taught in American schools. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here goes.
Russell.
What? This gets very good.
I can't hear it, Russell.
You can't hear it?
I can't hear it. All I can hear is a poor piano player, and your words and your voice is not coming through at all.
I didn't start talking yet. Here goes.
He told me the 21st century was going to be utopia.
It don't work.
Utopia. Oh yeah, forget about it. They told me 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. It never happened. There were only 2.4 million Jews in Europe before the war.
cut it off. I can't hear your voice, and I hate the fucking piano player. If I was there, I'd shoot the motherfucker.
Unbelievable. All right, go ahead. It did work. All right. Guys, gals, you can see it, the video on my Facebook page.
That might work. Your Facebook might work, but it don't work on radio. I'm sorry.
Let them go to facebook.com/Phoenix Speaks, the number 1. And they can see it. It's a very good video. Well done, lip sync. I must praise myself. And I say some 4 things. I destroy the Holocaust. I this myth about the 21st century as being a utopia. I destroy the evolution myth, and I destroy Anne Frank's fairy tale.
By the way, I believe it's about 9 or 12 videos that are going to be available here. I'm going to be playing them all this next month or next week up until Christmas. So I'll probably do this over Christmas since I'm not lining up many guests. It's by the videos are made by the archaeologist from New Zealand, and he's been on my show many times. And he really goes back and blows the evolution. And one of the things he talks about is the evolution myth. No, that ain't right. That ain't happening. This wasn't the truth. He also talks about the canopy that was over Earth. He talks about Atlantis. He talks about all of these civilizations on Earth here, the Egyptians, Assyrian, and all that. These all came from Atlantis, and he's got 9 videos or 12 videos out about that. I made a deal with him. I'll advertise them and make available to him, and I get to play them all next week. So I'd advise everybody to turn in. That's going to be kind of my Christmas present to you. This is Jonathan Gray. Jonathan Gray is, I think, the most fantastic archaeologist. He may even get into what's under Antarctica. There's a whole civilization, I believe, under Antarctica. The Germans found it, and they settled there. And there's even the Jew has come out and admitted that Hitler didn't die. He didn't die in that bunker. He didn't commit suicide. He was taken by submarine to Argentina. And that's where he lives now.
Well, even the mainstream channels are coming out now and saying that. 20 years ago, you never heard that. It was all about he blew his head off and they burned his bodies in a shell crater. And, even the mainstream channels are starting to put snippets of truth out now, if you can believe that. But it's always mixed with bullshit.
Well, they have to say some truth or nobody would listen, because there's been a lot of exposure to their dogma over the last few years, especially since 9/11.
Yeah. Well, they even they claim they had a skull fragment that was supposed to be Hitler's. That's proven to be bullshit. That was they can show that it belonged to a woman. So how easy it is to lead the sheeple off the cliff.
Yeah, Admiral Byrd ran into the Nazis. They chased him away from Antarctica, probably with their own brand of UFOs.
Let me continue on one thing in that thing about evolution, what I said in that video. Let me expound on it, because you folks could hear it.
Well, wait a minute, Russell. Can you talk for about 3 minutes while I get more?
Sure, go ahead. In 10th grade in biology, you start learning about evolution. And in the 60s, the teacher would put his hand in the back of his ass and make you feel his tailbone, showing we came from the monkeys. And then he'd show us pictures of Professor Edwin Hagel, a staunch evolutionist, pictures of the chicken, the egg, all the way up to, you know, the reptile, the fish, the monkey, and then eventually, you know, Homo erectus, and then Homo sapiens. And the ironic thing about it, it's very convincing. However, what's not told in high school is that Professor Edwin Haken was taken to a court in Jena, Jena, Switzerland, and accused of debauchery and fraud, and he broke down in court and cried and admitted that all his drawings were fakes and fraudulent, and that he shouldn't be punished, however, because everybody in the scientific community does it. Of course, that's never talked about. It's like Anne Frank, the little Jewish girl, who the Nazis were going to put in an oven, so she hid in an attic. Well, first of all, her father and her father's attorney were taken to court after the war, and they lost the case. It was deemed as a fraud because it was written in ballpoint pen, and there were no ballpoint pens before or during the war. But again, we won't hear that on mainstream media, because if you Google it, folks, if you Google it, not only have the Jews been kicked out of 109 locations since 250 AD, 109 different countries, but they own 96% of the world media, and they own all the 7 news corporations in the United States. And Rupert Murdoch, along with the 7th, is probably a Zionist Jew, a Marizano Jew, a Jew that changed his name. That's how they get away with it, folks. It's just, if you own the media and you tell a lie long enough, the sheeple will believe it. And they'll believe anything that's told to them by a fine-looking woman or a good-looking man dressed in a fine suit.
Well, you know, the saying, you can't polish a turd. It's still a turd on the inside.
Absolutely. And eventually, the feces will slip out through the sweat pores.
Yeah. Well, you know, I just wanted to go back and just make a comment. You were talking about Turkey. I like Putin, you know, I really do. I think he's a chess master. He knows the story with these Western powers, and I think Turkey is the country to keep an eye on right now. And Russell, if you've heard of, there's a Greek Orthodox elder who's not around anymore. His name Elder Paisios, and he made some prophecies that have been absolutely incredible. And he said that one of the signs of World War III will be what happens in Turkey. And what he says is going to happen is there's going to be a war between Russia and Turkey, and Turkey is going to be spanked into eternity. And all those Muslims are going to go flooding into Eastern Europe, Eastern Asia, and Turkey will be given back to Greece and will become Christian once again, and Istanbul will be Constantinople once again. And when that happens, the West is going to shit its proverbial pants when that happens. And I don't know, I like Putin. He's an Orthodox Christian like I am, and I can identify with him. And I don't know, I think he's one of the only leaders left in the world with some bullocks.
I think I agree with you. I agree with you on that. And I put a video up on my, I believe it's my Facebook page, of Putin versus Steven Seagal. Seagal is awesome, but Putin had the balls to face him in a ring. I mean, you know, I'm sure it was all staged and all that, but it was
sure.
It was good showmanship, and
yeah.
Putin does have the balls, and he's called Obama out many times. I've read a lot of his speeches, and I agree with him.
Well, I saw a video from Breast Check TV today that they sent me through an email. That Seagal was at it again, talking how most of the shootings are false flag terror. You see, Seagal, and I know this for a fact, because I used to converse with Jordan Maxwell in the early 2000s, and he told me that Steven Seagal as well as the great Wesley Snipes, and also Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn would come to his house to learn what was really going on. So Seagal is not only a superior Aki-Jitsu and Aikido martial artist, one of the best in the world, but he's also a very learned man. And as far as Putin goes, the man is awesome. I mean, he threw out the international bankers, issued warrants for the Rothschilds. He, it's very funny. There's a video on the net of Putin working out and one of Obama working out. It's very funny. And I found something else. I listened to this. Bill, I had to delve even further, and I put on a video, a photo of Obama, as a physical trainer with 2 5-pound dumbbells. It's hilarious. Such a piece of shit, he's a wimp.
Guys, I'm going to have to go and let the line open for somebody else, but I just want to close by saying you guys are the real deal, and keep doing what you're doing. And I also like to say that we have to try not to dwell on the negative too much, because it's really, really easy to say bad things about other people. And what we have to do is we have to find, it may sound cliche as hell, but we have to find some common ground and go from there.
Well, it's what I've told you, the toughest thing we've got to do here. How do you fight evil without becoming evil? That's where we're at.
Yeah. Very difficult. You have to at least know evil to fight evil. But you can't carry it into a situation where you're using it instead of justice as revenge, because as I said, revenge is a double-edged sword. It'll eat you alive. But, we thank you, Bill, for coming on, because you're awesome. That's all we can say.
Well, I'll definitely call in again, because you guys are awesome too. And I just want to say that no matter what your belief system is, what brand of Christianity you believe in, I'm Orthodox, but that's okay. Evil does not win. Evil never did win, and it never will win.
I agree.
It looks like ostensibly, it looks like it's winning. If you turn on the TV and make your judgment based on that, you'd say the world's gone completely apeshit, and it has. But this is temporary. Evil cannot win. It is impossible.
It is impossible, because when there's evil, there is always good, because you always have an opposite. And when there's good, there's always evil. The key is we have to find a way to hold evil in check, to keep the balance, and to give people the opportunity to let them know that they are not just biological or corporeal bodies or entities. They are not their ego. They are spiritual beings entrapped in a body. And for the record, I am what you call a Gnostic Christian. I follow the teachings, the hidden teachings of Jesus as set forth in the Nag Hammadi scrolls, and also in the Bruce Codex and in the secret Gospels. The things that Jesus really said. Jesus is definitely the light bearer. He definitely is the way, the truth, and the light. There's no question about it. And another...
He told you that you can do what I do and more, and that's where Russell and I come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
well,
think,
guys, I'll let you go. I'll let you go for now, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'll keep listening in the chat room.
All right, and remember that if I see a space in between Toka and Cola, I kick their ass out. So don't screw up.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's just the trolls doing what they do best. So,
all right, Phil.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
You'll know me.
I do.
Have a good day. God bless you guys.
Tell your friends about this show. We've got this. We're it's better in color. Keep an eye out.
Okay, guys. God bless you.
God bless you.
you too.
And by the way, you might send a donation to help me cover the cost of that color. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely, I will.
All right.
Have a good day.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Oh, by the way, Clay,
Yes, sir.
when I do that video, when I say when I was smoking with the boys upstairs,
Yeah.
I have a roach in my hand.
I used to be able to do that.
Very articulate, intelligent man that Bill is.
Yes, he is.
Very nice guy, very congenial and affable. I like him. There are many people all over the world living in imprisoned countries who know what's going on and are not afraid to speak about it. And you got to give him tremendous credit to get up there when he's living in a country where you could get in trouble for talking what he's saying, you know?
Yeah. He hasn't said too much out of line, but
No, but he
listen
gave
to me. He listens to us. That
He
might give him a
implied-
hard
him-
time.
If he listens to us, you got. Listen, guys, gals, if you listen to us, you got balls, and I take my hat off to you. This red one, let me put it on and take it off so I'll show you. I tip my hat to you. Because as I've said many times, you are the lights at the end of a very dark and dangerous tunnel, the bringers of a new dawn. And you are my family, you are my kin, you are my brothers and sisters. And I have a tremendous respect for you.
Well, it's what I want to do with the whole Liberty Village.
Especially you boxy ladies who listen to us.
Are they still out there?
I think this is a much better way to do the show, Clay.
Well, I like it.
Well, when you listen to the podcast of this show, will they be able to see us?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I will put these shows up.
I gotta laugh. I never take myself too seriously, even though I am serious. I still got a little bit, just a wee bit left of ego in me left.
If you didn't, I wouldn't have you on my show.
Love you, brother.
When we get this Liberty Villages thing started, hopefully somebody will donate a truck. I'll donate a fifth wheel, and we'll be able to travel around the country and do lectures and do and show people what this could be like. You know, people. The people that I have on the show here could come in to an event and meet us and shake hands with us and listen to us, and we'd be able to show them what they could do in their own neighborhood. This ain't, you know, we can't do this alone. And I that we got to work together. We got to have a plan. We've got to have strategies. We got the schools. We got the colleges. We got the colleges. We got the Little Red Schoolhouse. Would be a
In
part
the Little Red Schoolhouse, with my book and slate. In the Little Red Schoolhouse, I was always late. My grandfather used to sing that to me when I was little. Boy, I miss him. Papa Bill.
Now, in this letter that I've gotten from William Blair, they say Turkey's unprovoked shoot-down of a Russian military aircraft over Syria raises interesting questions. It seems unlikely that the Turkish government would commit an act of war against a much more powerful neighbor unless Washington had cleared the attack. Turkey's government is not very competent, but even the incompetent know better than to put themselves into a position of facing Russia alone. If the attack was cleared with Washington, was Obama bypassed by the neocons who control his government, or is Obama himself complicit? Clearly, the neoconservatives are disturbed by the French president's call for unity with Russia against ISIS and could easily have used their connection to Turkey to stage an event that Washington can use to prevent cooperation with Russia. Washington's complicity is certainly indicated, but it's not completely out of the question that the well-placed Turks who are purchasing oil from ISIL took revenge against Russia for destroying their oil tanker investments and profitable business. But if the attack has a private or semi-private origin to connections between gangsters and military, would Turkey's president have defended the shootdown on such spurious grounds as national defense? No one can believe that one Russian jet is a threat to Turkey's security. Don't forget the prostitutes. Don't expect the prostitutes to look into any such questions. The prostitutes, such as the BBC's Moscow correspondent Sarah Rainsford, are spinning the story that the loss of the Russian aircraft and earlier the airliner proves that Putin's policy of airstrikes against ISIL has backfired, as Russians are not safer. The responses to the shootdown are also interesting. From what we heard of Obama's press conference, Obama's definition of moderate Syrian rebels includes all the extremist jihadist groups such as Nasrallah and ISIL that are the focus of the Russian attacks. Only Assad is an extremist. Obama, following the neocon line, said that Assad has too much blood on his hands to be allowed to remain president of Syria. Again, this is more propaganda, Israel propaganda bullshit. Obama is not specific about the blood on Assad's hands, but we can be. The blood is the blood of ISIS forces fighting the Syrian army. Obama doesn't refer to the blood on ISIS's hands, but even the prostitutes have told us the horror stories associated with the blood on ISIL's hands, with whom Obama has allied us. Now, what about the blood on Obama's hands? Here we're talking about a very large quantity of blood, the blood of entire countries, Libya, Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, and the blood that Obama's puppet government in Kyiv has spilled of the ethnic Russian inhabitants of Ukraine, not to forget the Palestinian blood spilled by Israel using U.S.-supplied weapons. If the blood on Assad's hand disqualifies Assad from office, the much greater quantity on Obama's hands disqualifies Obama and Cameron and Holland and Merkel and Netanyahu. Throughout the entire Washington organized conflicts in the Middle East, Africa, and Ukraine, the Russian government has spoken reasonably and responded to in a diplomatic manner to many provocations. The Russian government relied on European governments, realizing that Europe does not benefit from conflicts generated by Washington and separating themselves from policy that is against their interests. But Europe proved to be a collection of American vassals, not independent countries capable of independent foreign policy. And by the way, they're paying for it. Look at the YouTube videos of the attacks by the whoever you want to call them, the Muslims, the Syrians, the Libyans, what they're hiding under now. In its campaign against ISIS in Syria, the Russian government has relied on the agreement made with NATO countries to avoid engaging in the air. Now Turkey has violated this agreement. I will be surprised if the Russian government any longer places any trust in the words of the West and any hope in the diplomacy with the West. by now, the Russian government and the Russian people have learned that the Wolfowitz Doctrine means what it says and is in force against Russia. From the Ukraine attack on Crimea's power supply and the blackout that is affecting Crimea, the Russian government has also learned that Washington's puppet government in Kyiv intends to further conflict with Russia. Washington has made it clear from the beginning that Washington's focus is on overthrowing Assad, not ISIS. Despite the alleged attack on France by ISIL, the U.S. State Department's press spokesman, Admiral John Kirby, said that Russia cannot be a member of the coalition against the ISIL until Russia stops propping up Assad. And to the extent that the shoot down of a Russian military aircraft has a silver lining, the incident has likely saved the Russian government from a coalition in which Russia would have lost control of its war against ISIL and would have had to accept the defeat of Assad's removal. Each step along the way, the Russian government has held strong cards that it did not play, trusting instead to diplomacy. Diplomacy has now proven to be a dead end. If Russia does not join the real game and begin to play its strong cards, Russia will be defeated. This from Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, who was Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Economic Policy and Associate Editor of the Wall Street Journal. He was a columnist for Business Week, Scripps Howard News Service, and Creator Syndicate. He has had many university appointments. His internet columns have attracted a worldwide following, and I have run his columns in many free Americans. His latest books are The Failure of Laissez-Faire Capitalism and Economic Dissolution of the West, and How America Was Lost. Russell.
Yeah, the only thing I can comment on that is, as far as America goes, America is not a capitalist country. America is a monopolistic capitalist country because in laissez-faire that Clay just mentioned, free enterprise, the real meaning of it is you have the right to manufacture or create goods and market and sell them for profit without license or without permission from the government. Once you need permission from the government will always take advantage of you and give favor to the big, large corporations who are owned by Jews that own the United States government. So America is not a laissez-faire, free enterprise country. One thing I do want to say, because I had a thought of it, I thought of a gentleman I knew by the name of Belly, who I knew on the Gulf. Wife Denise owned the hairdressing salon, which I used to go to, and I knew everybody in there very well. And manicures, pedicures, and my hair was always perfect because I lived right across. Laid it down and walked over to the Strip. Now Belly was from Turkey, and he told me back then, I don't know how it is now. He said in Turkey, because he knew I was a mortgage lender, he said in Turkey you can't borrow money; it's illegal. That was at that time, and he told me very interesting stories about Turkey, and he was definitely Islamic, nice guy, and he couldn't stand the Jews. In fact, he said most people in Turkey didn't like the Jews. There was another guy, an Islamic guy by the name of, I forget his name, Haydem or something like that, who owned a big candy store at the corner of Seagrape and Commercial Boulevard, which I had in my offices. I had 3,000 in the building across the street, and he was a storm. And he told me of how Saddam was really a good guy and how he was taken advantage of by the Bushes. And you know, the whole thing that we talk about, it all boils down to this. If you listen to the mainstream media, and I don't, but if you listen to it, eventually they're going to get you, because the lie is repeated endlessly. lie repeated endlessly or the truth. And Churchill was the truth, so twice in his life. He dusts it off and continues on his path that leads to nowhere. Problem is, folks, most of you walking with crowds will lead you down the path to hell, your own personal hell. You got to take the path less taken, the road less traveled, as Henry David Thoreau said. Because civil and I think it was Thoreau said the only path to liberty is the path really less taken.
Paid by the who are contributing to a major circulation American journal. You have people who submit pieces to American journals.
This is CNN here. Let me see what's going on here.
Paid by the CIA.
This is something just came across. Since Russell mentioned it, I thought we'd try to see what it is. Breaking news exposed.
Excuse me a moment. I gotta run to the restroom. Be right back.
You do that while I play this. Comes from Fisher of Men.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation? Have people who submit pieces to American journals. Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks? This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
Hey, Anderson, we had a great interview last time.
Didn't want to answer that question, did he?
I was wondering if you get to look into Operation Mockingbird? You know what that is.
You're talking about something, what, from the 1950s, dude?
1970s official declassified program, how the CIA infiltrated the mainstream media from the higher up.
Right.
Classified.
I read about it in college, yes, I do. Thanks.
Do you think it's something that could possibly be happening today?
I have no comment for you, thanks, dude.
Why not? I mean, training except CIA training. I mean,
is how a top Western official called tricking the public through routine faking of atrocities and commonly aired on mainstream bulletins. Nightly news shows just a few cases of what happened next after mainstream cameras ended their reports.
It shows people putting on, fake wounds. It shows there's some guys there. Look, there's their head wounds. Peace, everybody. We're doing the right thing. We're creating fake propaganda. I mean, it's not even real atrocities. So they're there lined up. There was another video that shows some guy kicking his leg and with a fake blood wound. Here's a guy who wakes up from his funeral. Watch this. They're reading. Oh, there. Oh, wait. There. Oh, he's awake. He's not even really dead. And so, I mean, this is just crazy what goes on. There was another video that was shot of a supposed massacre, and it cuts. You don't see the whole thing. When you go to the Al Jazeera footage, it shows real quick clips of a guy kicking his leg, and he's got blood coming out, which turned out to be fake blood.
A Sandy Hook victim who dies again in Pakistan. This is an amazing article. If you look at these pictures, it's still up on Infowars.com. Photo of a child killed at Sandy Hook shows up at the Pakistani school shooting. Now, that school shooting was one where they had 136, I believe, was the count of children that were killed by terrorists in Pakistan. But they have one picture that is prominently featured over and over again, and we have this documented in this article from Adon Salazar. Over and over again, this one child who was one of the children that we were shown as a victim at Sandy Hook. And it really does bring up the question as to what's going on here.
Intelligence agencies have infiltrated and created some satanic groups. The resurgence of these groups, beginning in 1966, particularly with the birth of the Church of Satan by Anton LaVey. He studied criminology in San Francisco and worked in the San Francisco Police Department Crime Lab. He also worked as an informant for Interpol. Prior to the Church of Satan, LaVey ran a group called the Magic Circle. LaVey's most famous associate is the National Security Agency General Michael Aquino. At the time of his membership in LaVey's group, Aquino was an Army specialist in intelligence and psychological warfare. In the late 1980s, Aquino was accused by the San Francisco Police Department of being involved in a satanic child molestation ring centered on the daycare at the Presidio military base where Aquino was stationed at the time. It is important to remember that General Aquino is first and foremost a military intelligence officer with over 40 years' experience in counterinsurgency operations and psychological warfare. General Aquino's psychological warfare campaign has started or infiltrated cults and other closed systems as part of a concerted effort to control large numbers of people and to destabilize the centers of constitutional and legal authority, both here in the United States and in other nations.
Perhaps the most vital directive in Weishaupt's plan was to obtain absolute control of the press, at that time the only mass communications media, to distribute information to the public, so that all news and information could be slanted, so that the masses could be convinced that a one-world government is the only solution to many and varied problems. Now do you know who owns and controls our mass communications media? I'll tell you, practically all the movie lots in Hollywood is owned by the Lamans, Kuhn Loeb and Company, Goldman Sachs, and other internationalist bankers. All the national radio and TV channels in the nation are owned by internationalist bankers. The same is true of every chain of metropolitan newspapers and magazines, also of the press wire services, such as Associated Press, International, etc. The supposed heads of all those media are merely the fronts for the internationalist bankers, who in turn compose the hierarchy of the CFR, today's Illuminati in America.
In a world economy where information is filtered by global media corporations, keenly attuned to their powerful advertising, who then the public's right to know.
Alright, we're getting some static here.
By the way,
yes, sir. Alright,
by the way, folks, that was Myron Fagan just speaking. I would suggest you get his 2-hour video. It's on YouTube. I would recommend it. Rated as one of the best videos on the net explaining the world's foremost problem, which is the international Zionist Jew. That video by Myron Fagan is outstanding, and I have to say it might be just the best I've ever seen.
It's what they're talking about here. I'm not sure who that is talking, but CNN has asked if they have people, or the CIA has asked if they have people on the television networks. They have caught them because we got so many people out there with these handheld cameras. They've caught them. They're the San Bernardino shooting. What do you know about that, Russell?
Well, I don't have to know about it because I know that nobody goes into a school or into a public establishment and starts shooting innocent people because it's the head of the government. These are all Manchurian fucking candidates. MK Ultra operatives that go out that are conditioned to have alternate personalities that can be triggered by a word or a picture or a card, as Sirhan was back in 19, and go out and start shooting. It just so happened, folks, they got to institute gun control because they can't beat us unless they take away our fucking guns. Don't give them up under any circumstance. Because if you take, as I said this so many times, and I said it again, if you take the number of people killed by their own, killed in war, military, killed in wars in the 20th century, at the times by 6 to get the number of people killed by their own government after they took away the guns.
Even Putin has told Americans, do not give up your guns. And I was just watching some program on Netflix, and it was some movie that they had, or some television series that they had about some CIA. They were talking about was something that I referred to months ago. This is a drug it's found in Colombia, and if they just blow a little bit into your face, a powder in your face, they can control you, what you do. You won't have any memory of it, and you won't have any way to resist it.
It's a zombie drug.
Yes.
And the U.S. government, by the way, has the patent on the zombie virus. They don't put shows like The Walking Dead on TV and all these other shows showing zombies without telling you. When you think it's just a movie, read the book Hoodwink by a fellow named Yuri, who I used to correspond with. A very intelligent man. I used to buy a lot of art, and I learned that very well. I remember the arguments I would have with my dumbass, stupid ex-wife who was Jewish saying, oh, for us, it's only a movie. Say, there's no such thing as it's only a movie. You're going to tell me the marijuana movies? What was the name of the movie? I'm having a senior moment here, like, on marijuana, the brain saying about
that was I don't know, we used to go. Yeah, a little one there. But this zombie drug that you're talking about comes from Colombia. It's called Polyamine. The devil. This latest salsa diva Cecilia Cruz sang about it in a recent documentary called it the world's scariest drug. That's because scopolamine provides a potent weapon to Colombian criminals. The drug puts people into a zombie-like state in which they lose both their memory and free will and can be convinced to empty their bank accounts or hand over keys to their apartments and cars.
Well, wait, the movie The Serpent and the Rainbow with Bill Pullman back in 1989 depicted that whole scenario of that zombie drug very clearly. I recommend that movie very highly, The Serpent and the Rainbow, Bill Pullman, 1989.
I don't know about that one. I was thinking of the little propaganda film that they made to show you the facts of marijuana. We used to go watch that at the midnight movies and laugh our ass off because it was just a propaganda film trying to teach you that marijuana, is bad. Marijuana, it's a gateway drug, isn't it, Clay? It's a gateway. Yeah, if you got to go buy it from a drug dealer, yeah, he'll be glad to sell you some methamphetamine or some real LSD or something else.
Hey, Clay, how about the show Sons of Anarchy? They show you the Sons of Anarchy bicycle club smoking marijuana and going around shooting people. That's a form of brainwashing too, because nobody does anything violent on marijuana.
Sure it is. I even watch Sons of Anarchy because it's and I've had run-ins with the people that are making the films. I said, I'm not cooperating with you. I'm not running. This ain't the way it is. I've been members of both the predecessors to the Banditos and my club, the Dirty Dozen, and Phoenix became the Hells Angels. Sonny went out there and took it over. And we don't do that. Yeah, we can get in a fight. Yeah, we can get in a hassle, but you know, we ain't going out and murdering people. We ain't doing anything like that. You want to buy some pot? Yeah, got a neighbor's got some. You know, that ain't exactly the drug cartels that they talk about. The drug cartels that they talk about are the CIA. Now, this drug that we're talking about here, the scopolamine, they go to a party and wake up 2 or 3 days later on a park bench, said Maria Fernando Velotti, a nurse at San Jose Hospital, University Hospital in Bogota, which receives several scopolamine victims every week. They arrive here without their belongings or their money. Tasteless and odorless, the drug is often slipped into the alcoholic drinks of unsuspecting bar patrons. Last year, Colombia police reported nearly 1,200 cases of people victimized by criminals using scopolamine and other so-called zombie drugs. The victims ranged from high-profile politicians to U.S. Embassy employees to average Colombians. This is where your shooters are. This is where your mass murderers come from, folks. They got no ability to even resist this. The scopolamine comes from the seeds of a family of plants that includes angels, trumpets, and corkwood. They grow in many areas and can be found in the botanical gardens in Bogota. Scopolamine blocks neurotransmitters that carry information to the part of the brain that stores short-term memory, says Camilo Uribe, who heads the toxicology unit at Sam Houston University Hospital, is a leading expert on the drugs. In other words, what happens to people under the effects of scopolamine are simply not recorded by the brain. At the same time, the drug makes the people more open to suggestion. Nazi angel of death Joseph Mengele used scopolamine in interrogators as a kind of truth serum. The CIA administered doses of the drug during its controversial behavioral experiments in the 60s, according to John B. Mark's book, In Search of the Manchurian Candidate. Since 1970, Colombian criminals have used scopolamine in order to rape women, empty out houses and apartments, even abduct children. Last year, kidnappers used the drug on the parents of a 7-year-old girl in northern Antioquia department, then took the child. She was rescued 2 months later, but because the victim remembers almost nothing about these encounters, it's impossible for them to provide police descriptions of the perpetrators.
By the way, the movie I was alluding to is called Reaper Madness.
That's it. Yes, sir. That's the one we went and watched.
Most ridiculous movie ever made. How anybody swallowed that bullshit, I don't know. It just boggles mind.
The one infamous case involved 3 young Bogota women who preyed on men by smearing the drug on their breasts and luring their victims to take a lick. Losing all willpower, the men readily gave up their bank access codes. The breast temptress thieves would then held them hostage for days while draining their account. That report comes from Reuters. But men also wheedled a drug. Bogota music teacher Mario Romero recalled going to his regular bar for a drink and inviting some friends back to his apartment, a group that included a friendly but unknown man. After his other friends departed, the newcomer apparently put some scopolamine in Romero's whiskey. He woke up the next day to find the man had taken his wallet and camera and somehow figured out where he stashed his jewelry, plus a stack of Colombian pesos worth about $600. Romero figures he must have led the criminal to the hiding places. Everything I had was well hidden, but you totally lose your will. Victims have even been convinced to carry out crimes under the influence of the drug. I can give you a gun and tell you to go kill someone, and you will do it, Yuri said.
You know, Clay, I gotta say, when you were talking about CNN earlier, it brings back memories, and it hits me with the old cliche, youth is wasted on the young. I remember in the 60s, when I was away, I would subscribe to U.S. News and World Report and thought I was so knowledgeable about what was going on. I had to unlearn all that bullshit, which was quite this company over the those magazines should be burned. In fact, the best thing to this country to talk about a solution is to ban any Jew from teaching or going on the news. Or Judeo-Christian, for that matter, who follows strict, modern-day Judeo-Christianity, a satanic religion, to say the least.
Well, there is a way to get through this. The whole Liberty Village concept, the American Indians, you call them Indians, I call them the indigenous people of America. And I consider myself an indigenous American. I was born in Texas, raised in Texas, and I've been to the other 49 states at least once. I passed through and lived in a few. And I think we're worth saving, and I think we can do that with the whole Liberty Village concepts, because we can set up small villages, small towns. They're already out there. You just got to get active and help organize and take them over in a positive sense. Teach the children, put the children into the whole community college network, the Little Red Schoolhouse. Dr. Jake Wade will be glad to set you up so you can educate your children. He's got the programs to do that. Not brainwash them, not program them, but teach them. Set them out on a course of thinking where they can use their minds to think. This is a part of the Liberty Village plan. You can go to libertyvillage.org and see the structures. How hard is it to live in a teepee? I mean, you think that's a bad thing? You think that's better than, you think that's better to live in a square box, a little box in your neighborhood with a bunch of other boxes? I don't like that.
Yeah, little big houses, you and me. Clay, got about 4 minutes, and I want to close by saying this. America was once the land of the free and the home of the brave. When the Indians or the indigenous people were in charge, prior to 1492. That's all. I'm going to say goodbye, folks. It's been a pleasure. Go out there and enjoy the weather. Christmas is next week. And don't turn the other. Fight back. That's all.
Right. Thanks, folks. I'm out of here. I am Clay Douglas. I am the Free American. God bless you all.